Hi, everyone. My name is Anastasia Allen. Welcome to Navigate STL Schools, a podcast. We are here today with Rudi Whittaker, an alumni and activist of SLPS. Hi, Rudi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Nice to be here today.
Awesome. We ask this question to everybody. So start us out by telling us your personal K-12 education story.
Well, I grew up not too far from here, right here in the west side of St. Louis, right here by what was formerly Clark Accelerated School. It's now Lofts now. But that was one of my first schools that I actually went to and came up in. From there, we participated in the DSEG program. That was a program where they bus city kids to I don't know where in the county to these schools, but schools would be far away, but it was just to get a better education. It's something that you really wasn't getting here in the St. Louis area per se. It's like you got the same type of education, but it was more things that a city resident had to worry about while they were in school. You had, you know, bullying, different type of things in the neighborhood that was going on. So you really had to go to school and not focus on the things that you saw on your way there. So going to county school just gave you more of a peace of mind while you was going to school to get an education. You have a lot of things to worry about that kids shouldn't have to be thinking about at their age. From there, I went to, let's see, I want to say it was Rose Acres Elementary, went there. Then we ended up back at, I want to say that was Pruitt Military Academy. I went to school there for a while and really enjoyed that. But it was things that were coming in the near future for the school system that my parents were already inclined on. So they saw it was necessary for me to go to a different school again because it was just, they tried their best to try to keep me in what was familiar for my family and education, that my family got brought up in, if that makes sense. So end up going to, I want to say this, Rockwood Valley, and enjoyed going to school there. It was more of a DSEG situation again, but I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of kids from our neighborhood was going to school out there too. So, and then at that time too, it wasn't a lot of schools, for everybody to go to in their neighborhood. So at that time, those schools were being closed down and stuff like that. So, it was a necessity where, you had to control overcrowding too. So I understood all of that. A lot of other kids did too. So we made the best out of it, what we could. And rightfully so, once you get to high school, it's like, of course, it's a ton of high schools, St. Louis City. So we had plenty of high schools to go to. I came back down and went to Soldan High School and loved that. That was just amazing. My schooling was really just jumping around, kind of like almost like it was just something that I liked doing, I guess I could say.
Getting an opportunity to just meet different people and learn in different
Yes,
places.
like my social media platform is crazy, but it's all people I went to school with. Lafayette High School, I loved there. That was a great school. Did a lot of sports and stuff there. And, it was just finally time where my parents was like, hey, Vashon is somewhere where they're trying to do something with the community there. They were trying to do something with the school in there. My little brother, he went to school there. He was very big in sports. So I liked everything that school had to offer, all the way down to the music program, because I really liked music. I liked playing in the band. So I was a trumpet player, and it was fun. And when I went to school there, you had a lot of people who had thoughts that, man, this is a bad school, it's horrible, it's a lot of fights going and things of that nature, which these things go on in schools. They've been going on forever. Violence has been going on in schools for a long time. I mean, it's taken care of through a disciplinary action, But Vashon was definitely a school that had a mask over it, but behind it, it was a lot of character in that school. So I took a lot of pride of being there. Um, it's rightfully so as the kids that graduated from there. A lot of the alumni now, I mean, they probably have one of the biggest alumni classes besides Sold In. If I'm getting that correct, they have some pretty big alumni classes, events that, be going on. Gateway too, I can't leave them out. We'll give shout out to the Rough Riders too, because I'm just scaling around now. It's like a lot of them have things that are good for the kids, but Vashon was just different. We got used to going to school in hallways that mimicked some of the movies that we watched. Like I can't forget Dangerous Minds. It was like another movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like you got these. Lean on Me. Yeah, it's like you got movies that when you walked into Vashon, you knew. And this was the old one that was on Bell and Grant. You walked in there and you knew, like, man, this is like bars. I mean, you in a cafeteria and it looked like you walking through a jail because, you got bars up, like, in between you and the cafeteria and you getting your food. And you're in classrooms where, it's major repairs needed to be made. Some windows didn't close. Kids used to go in between the walls and go have a nice day of running around and stuff, just not being seen. So it's like, it was interesting to move around that school and look around, but we all wanted something better.
So to level set, since Black does not crack, what kind of era are we talking about? The late 80s, early 90s?
We're talking about like the late 90s, between 96 and 2000 or 2001, I could say, and put it there. We wanted things to change so bad that we definitely had to figure out a way to change it for the future alumni that were going to be coming from the school. So at that time, we had Dorothy Ludgood. She was the principal there. Very beloved lady. We just had tremendous love and support for her. She's no longer with us now, but she was a very key ingredient for that school. And key ingredients were like Dorothy Lovegood, Floyd Irons, Charlie Bean. He was one of the counselors there. You had some very important people that kept the stitching of that school together. Mr. May in the band class, he was awesome. Coach J, and you had different ones that were definitely the glue to the school, all the way down to security guards. We had security guards that were very well respected. So we did everything we could to make sure that we gave a different future for the kids that came after us.
So we always say that school isn't just the building; it's really the community that people are able to create there. And you mentioned a lot of like great educators and building staff and support staff. What would you say was one of the events that truly shaped your high school experience and then led to your like alumni activism?
I want to say it was the championships. It was the diamonds that came out of the rough times we was going through. Like going to school and you just knowing that, man, we gonna have to go through this again today, and then to start finding out like, hey, your sports team is like one of the top in the state. So I would say that the diamonds in the rough, the rough times we were going through were some of the major events that changed us and made us kind of step forward with the schooling. It was the fact that you can find out one day that, hey, your school is the top school in your state. You got not just sports, you have other things like I want to say they call them mathletes.
Oh yeah.
You had different things like that where people in your school are being recognized, like being in the top 3 and top 5 in the nation and stuff like that. And you're looking like, man, I mean, we got some minds coming out of our school. It's not just the school that everybody looking at that, they just a bunch of thugs or gangbangers or products of their neighborhoods or whatever. It's like, no, we had kids that was going to school there that definitely wanted to see a change. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be the same thing for their kids, because most of the kids that went to school down there, a lot of their children go to school down there too now. Mm-hmm. You know, they hear stories of their parents that went to school there. So it's very, very interesting. It made us want to step forward and petition. There were marches and you know, different type of things that were happening to raise money just to make sure that we can get what we were trying to get at that time to push this forward. The land was just the most important thing.
So let's backpedal a little bit. A lot of people might not know why we're having this conversation. Talk to us about your kind of alumni activism and how you built this platform to really support Vashon.
Well, Vashon is more of it's a community. It's not a one person thing at all. I'm by far probably one of the least most hands-on people, because my little brother is way more hands-on. It's like everybody does their part. Like our last alumni barbecue we had, I mean, it was a sight to see. I mean, you had tents everywhere, people from different classes. It was the most peaceful, unified thing that you can see. I mean, people missing each other. I saw people I hadn't seen in so long. And I was glad on the inside. I couldn't do nothing but sit there and just look. And people probably thought I was just sitting there like, man, he just sitting there chilling or looking off. But I was thinking about all of the times where we ran through those hallways, when we were sitting in class doing work, you know, teacher giving you free time to, you know, you joking around, you taking pictures, you just enjoying the moment. You're not realizing at that time that you can never come back to it. You never can come back to it. So if there are any kids that's watching this, make the best out of your time, because you're never going to come back to that. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's like raising a kid. You miss those moments. So I miss them a lot. I participate as much as I can now, because it's one of those things where I absolutely just love the camaraderie still, that it's still family, that it's still the same morals that was there. You see how people are acting now. You know, you see how their kids have grown. You see all that.
What do you think is like the catalyst or like the unifying issue that Vashon alumni have been able to come together around and really do to impact their community?
I want to say the major catalyst for that would definitely have to be the social media influence, because you get to see everybody doing their own things in their own walk of life. And it's one of those things where I don't know about anyone else in any other city, but to me, St. Louis has more of that. We're going to support, I don't want to say a particular race or anything like that, but you want to support your own, and that's not putting a barrier on any type of color, any of that. You want to support your own, people that you know, people that you grew up with, or people that you have, you know, that you can bump elbows with. It doesn't matter what their upbringing is or where they come from per se. You know, it's not no more barriers really.
Okay. So how do you think that the alumni network has helped like the profile of the school over the decades?
We definitely have a lot of kids that are outside of the district that want to come and be students at the school now. And it's not just for the sports program. It's for a lot of other reasons, you know. The positions they may stand on, the curriculum, test scores, things of that nature. It's things that are drawing other attention from, you know, other districts. So I do feel that, you know, we're doing good in that aspect. It's not just drawing basketball and football players.
So you talked about this a little bit earlier, where you said that the Alumni Network has done a really good job of like shining light on the mathletes, on the non-athletes that came out of the school, on some of the political platforms and things like that. What is some of the bigger changes that you've seen in the perception of Vashon over the last 20 or so years?
Well, I see more younger teachers now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot of older teachers that basically can't relate to the everyday life of these students. They're actually our age now. You're seeing teachers that are in their 20s and 30s and, possibly the 40s. I ain't going to get too far with my age, but you know what I'm saying? you get to see younger teachers now. And that's what I like, because now these kids can relate. They can relate to something. They're not just sitting back thinking that, oh, man, I can't do this science assignment because it's not making sense to my regular life. It's like, out of all the things we're going through now, we can definitely make science and math and everything relate to our everyday lives now. We've lived through it. So I see that right now a lot.
So a lot of the rage in St. Louis is getting into like the top magnet high schools. Vashon is a neighborhood school with a strong community network. When people are kind of thinking about where to send their kids to school and weigh in test scores and everything else like that, what do you think? You said you have people from even outside of district limits wanting to go to Vashon. What do you think is truly that draw for families, and why people should potentially consider neighborhood high schools in terms of where they're sending their kids for quality education?
Well, it gives you more of a connection with the neighborhood. It's more of, you can easily understand how to apply the things that are being taught in your neighborhood school to your everyday life, because you're walking around in there. So you're able to relate with this classmate that's in class with you. You're able to, it's a lot easier to go and do study hours and stuff now, when you're doing neighborhood schools. You can't really do that per se with, if you're a city, a kid that goes to school in a city and be studying with somebody from a county school. We all know that the curriculums really don't match up to an extent. One is behind the other. I'm not going to say which one is behind the other, because some schools in the city have a more accelerated program than some of the county schools. College prep. I've seen more college prep schools. That's something that I've always seen that they have always tried to put a little more money into, which it makes more sense. It keeps a kid geared for college, not just, I can't wait to get my diploma and that's it. So I feel that staying in a neighborhood school gives you the opportunity to stay focused on that, going to the next level.
Impacting your community and taking that to the next level.
Yeah. You see other kids going to school that you went to school with, going to college. So it's more important that way. Once you leave from a county school and come back to where you live in the city, it's no more of, so what school you going to, or this or that. It's like you don't really care. You just graduated high school together. You might not see this person again. It's a lot of distance.
So is that why you feel like that alumni network is so strong? Because it really does just draw people back to their community, to that era in time where they were like having these shared experiences overall, now they get a chance to like really try to preserve that type of experience for like the next generation.
Yes, most definitely.
So when you think about that, like what really is the call to action for the Vashon Alumni Network?
The call of action for the network is to, and this is purely my inner viewing of it, is to keep it tight, to keep it right, and to always fight. That's how I look at it. You gotta keep those three morals, because that's what a Wolverine always did. A Wolverine always fought. That's what we always did. We were always placed in positions where we had to bring out the best of everything that we got, and we had to put it on the table. So we always gonna have to fight, and it's not a violent thing. So please don't.
When we say fight, we mean advocate. We mean stand up for yourself.
Stand up for yourself. Please, and have morals, have dignity, and stand for something. And that's what it's about on being a Wolverine. That's what it's about being a Vashon alumni. It's those things. You know, you gotta have something for the future. You gotta have something for the kids of the future.
All right. And so we get a lot of people who just question whether or not they should stay in the city, whether or not they should educate their kids in the city. You know, you hear about these like declining crime rates and you know, all of the negative things around being a city resident. And as a city resident, I tend not to agree with most of it. But what do you think is one of those changes that could really give you hope for the future and for future alumni of Vashon?
I would say the hope that I'm just keeping is that there will always be respectable and eager youngsters that come from out of the school, young ladies, young men, or whatever they choose to identify as, just as long as they are respectable and they come out with a purpose. They represent the previous members of that school with the utmost respect, esteem, and keep their lives intact. Don't bring any shame up on the school that spreads on the rest of us, because the rest of us lead lives that we want the community to respect. So we just that's my hope for that, because that's just the most important thing.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, are there any other things that you want to share? How can people find you if people want to get involved with the Alumni Network? What's kind of like that final statement that you want people to take away from your experience or your work that you're doing with the Alumni Network?
One thing that I would have to say is that if you would like to get in contact with the Vashon Alumni Network, we are on Facebook. So just find our Vashon Alumni Association page. There are a few. Just try to, if you're from a class or you want to know more, just go in and message someone, because everyone is inclined to answer your questions and get you to the right people. The one thing that I would have to say to all the youngsters, I mean, because that's what I'm kind of aimed this at, and the parents, is be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. Thrive within your own body, and please yourself, please your family. Make sure that you have morals, and everything else from there should lead you into a great road to success.
Thank you for talking with us today, Rudi. It was great to hear about just strong community schools, building strong communities and strong community leaders. And we look forward to the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
All
Bye.
right.